Dear President Dionigi, dear Vice President of the Council of the University of Beijing, dear guests, I have accepted the invitation by the President of AlmaLaurea, Mr. Invado Dionigi, with great happiness and I'm looking forward to hearing about the results of the annual report. The annual report is one of the most exciting moments to reflect on our university system. First and foremost, because it's all about the users of higher education, students, and also their families who invest not just resources but also great hopes on the future of their children. We have lots of information from various statistical sources coming from the databases of our ministries, taking a snapshot of what is happening from inside the system. We have the report of the agency for the assessment that we submitted some months ago in Rome, data on financing, on the budgets and other items. The AlmaLaurea report is quite unique among all this huge amount of information. It allows us to accurately measure the efficiency and the effectiveness of the system of the state and non-state universities in Italy, providing us with a picture of the system from the outside, and this is quite significant. The organizers combined the presentation of this report with a more general reflection on many topics, opening the doors to international speakers who will tell us about the employment opportunities of their students as well. In an interdependent society, in a global labor economy, where students, where graduates have to enter, bringing back the weakness of their countries of origin. And we know, for example, that in Italy we have a great weakness in terms of the gap between the north and the south, between areas that are more competitive and others that are less competitive. And also within the small and medium enterprises, there are differences in Italy. Well, with such a background, you have to orient yourself, you have to identify development pathways, and you have to adapt to them. I think that there is a very important point of innovation here. These are the tasks of the universities. This is the mission of the universities. They have a challenge to face, which is a quality challenge. It's also a challenge of all our citizens. They have to have all the necessary skills for the society of today and of the near future without any difficulties. As you can very well appreciate, we are giving complex tasks to our universities, and they have to be up to the task of their mission. This is why we are strengthening the universities, and we are aiming at giving value to excellence and merit. We invest 270 million euros in the excellence departments, with special focus on recruiting young people for research facilities. Article 314 and 317 of the Budget Law 2017 relate to this. Then we will have 22% funds allocated to universities, 1.5 billion euros. And once implemented the indications of the State Council, we have implemented the 500 excellence chairs, Giulio Matta. We have also allocated 150 million euros for the 3-year plan 2016-2018, which is a tool to improve and foster internationalization. Then we have fostered guidance actions for students to support their training process. We have implemented improvements in the facilities of the universities and also the mobility and hiring of researchers. All our efforts are aimed at strengthening research and the ability to innovate nationwide. The investments of the Research National Plan go in this direction concerning the national technology clusters. A call for tender will be issued for 150 or 350 million euros and for also doctoral degrees working in relation to Industry 4.0 and the development of competent centers. AlmaLaurea will be telling us whether these efforts go in the right direction, whether they're positive or not. AlmaLaurea is inviting us to reflect on the current trends of the student population, on the expectations of students, and above all, on how the placement, the post-university placement, is moving and in which direction. At a first glance, the 19th report seems to be comforting. The figures clearly say that the old night of the social and economic crisis that started in 28 is now to an end. The report invites us to a moderately optimistic consideration, I say moderately optimistic, concerning the ability of the country to catch up and considering the very important role of higher education in Italy. One could summarize the figures on the employment condition of graduates by simply saying we are climbing up the mountain. I'm among those that consider the steps that have to be made ahead and not those that have been made already. Let me mention some figures now. 1 year from graduation, 68% of the 3-year course graduates have an employment, and 71% of those are coming from 2-year courses. There has been an increase in the employment rate after the reduction between 2008 and 2014, with minus 16 percentage points for 3-year degree courses and 11 for 2-year degree courses. And there has been an improvement overall, and also an increase by 87 and 84 respectively for 3-year and 2-year degree courses. Now, once it used to be said that you simply needed a piece of paper, but now there's more to this. There has been a crisis causing a reduction by 10%, more than 10% in permanent jobs. But we see an increase in the number of permanent contracts for 3-year degree course graduates within the Job Act. And they go from 28 to 29%. Then the contracts for those that have a 2-year degree course graduation are increasing by 5%. They have increased from 29 to 34%, going up to the level of 8 years ago. This is politically quite significant, and there is a reduction in the unregulated type of jobs, and this is something we should highlight. Of course, one should also point out that there are critical elements as well, because remuneration is on the increase by 2% in real terms, yet well below those in 2007 by at least 20 percentage points, both for those that have a 2-year degree and those that have a 3-year degree. I think that there is too short a difference between the two. And also the wages received by our graduates abroad are 64% higher than those working in our country. You should think about this. it's a matter of political choices. Then there are also very interesting elements coming out from the report on the graduates' profile. They say that on average our universities function well from the service side. The high degree of satisfaction of students is confirmed. 88% of them are satisfied with the university experience as a whole. There are, of course, variations in the degree of satisfaction depending on the university that they have attended. The results are positive anyway. It's also quite comforting to see that 68% of the students would go to the same university again. Well, this is also an important fact to stress. Then let's consider the number of students that complete their degree courses in time. 49% today, and it used to be 34% in 2006. I think that this is not enough yet. Clearly, an important role is played by the pre-university guidance policies. We're investing a lot in them, both locally and nationally. This is a hot topic, I think, and we should focus on this. Nationwide, we are investing 5 million euros more on FFO. This year, an information campaign will be launched on the benefits for students with a dedicated section on the portal of the ministry. We would like to disseminate information to both increase the quality and quantity of graduates, both males and females in our country. Great degree of satisfaction for teachers, 85%, a bit less for the facilities, for the infrastructures, 70%. We need to improve them and do more about them. A major part of the funds for excellence departments, 400 million euros in the coming 5 years, might be helpful, and also 85 million euros allocated to universities for the 3-year plan for renovation work to improve and upgrade the facilities. All these figures tell us that the road started by the universities has been effective and can only but improve. Better figures are also there for the efficiency of the degree courses. This means that the choices made in terms of accreditation and assessment that were often contested as a bureaucratic formalism have proved to be quite efficient and effective at the same time. Age at graduation has decreased very much as opposed to the pre-reform years and is continuing to decrease. Mean age was 27.1 in 2006, and it's 1 year more today as compared. Well, it used to be 27.1 in 2006, and it's 1 year less now. The possibility of completing the degree course on time has also improved. In 2006, 34% of the students would complete their studies on time. In 2016, this percentage is 49%. And then we have had a halving of the figures of those that completed studies 4 years later. They were 20 out of 100. Well, much has to do with the social economic variables and the choices of the families and students. Figures state that options are strongly linked to the social, economic and geographic areas that the students come from without major changes in the last 10 years, and we should think about this. A positive fact is the increase in the number of foreign students, 3.5% of the overall graduates. It's still low, though, especially because 59% are the children of immigrants in our country. Yet we have to say with some concern that in 2016, almost half of the total of graduates, 47%, got their degree in the same province where they also got the high school diploma. And 26% experimented only limited mobility going to university in a neighboring province where they got their high school diploma. So very little mobility of our students, and this is not the case in the rest of Europe. I'm underlining this because there's no positive comparison with the European trends. What worries us is the persisting weight of the social and economic background of the families. This is what comes out from the AlmaLaurea report. Graduates have at least only 29% of graduates have one of the parents holding a degree. And we only have 13% of graduates in the group from 45 to 64 years. And clearly, the university still has difficulties being a social escalator. The university is not an asset which is within easy reach for all. I think that the policies we need to adopt are decisive. We have to adopt them in a more strategically sustainable way. A right to studying, which should be very efficient and effective to overcome the social challenges which are still found behind these figures. We need to open scholarships, 100% of those that have the qualifications that are eligible for. We're not yet in line with the European trends. We need to provide incentives for merit students. This year, the no-tax area will be extended to families that have an income less than 13,000 euros, with an increase in the state fund to the right of study up to 217 million euros. There will be new rules for assessing the contributions, and 400 scholarships will be launched in 2018 for disadvantaged students, the so-called foundation of Article 34. It is at this level that we need to promote incisive measures, very innovative ones. The Observatory for the Right to Study will have to help us in this direction, and we will have to complete the negotiations with the regional authorities. I met them a couple of weeks ago together with my department, and we discussed this topic, the essential services that are required. And we have started renegotiating after 4 years. We had started because of a Decree 68 of 2012. I'd like to conclude now by saying that, as you can appreciate, the political measures are speeding up in favor of our students. We are adjusting the targets, the political targets, thanks to continuous monitoring made possible by precious reports such as the one by AlmaLaurea. Everything is useful to combine public investments with the results of the educational progress and programs. We are well aware of the challenges ahead of those who teach and learn. As Benedetto Croce said, a great minister of education, every knowledge is a unit of learning and knowledge as a whole. Thank you.